Hello, I'm Dr. Jennifer Christian, a physician and a specialist in occupational medicine. I've dedicated most of my career to minimizing the disruptive and destructive impact of illness and injury on the quality of people's lives. My colleague, Yoni Ben Shalom, a health economist from Mathematica, and I are dedicated to raising awareness about the need for better ways to support the millions of workers who lose their livelihoods each year due to injury or illness. This video summarizes the main ideas laid out in a 2-page work disability prevention manifesto I recently wrote and hope you will read. You may be wondering, why is work disability a problem? Let's start with the basics. Research has shown that for an adult, worklessness is harmful to both physical and mental health, as well as to marital, family, social, and economic well-being. As a society, we all know that worklessness is bad for people and for communities. Consider how many millions of dollars the government spends to create jobs and reduce unemployment. Since that's so obvious, let's agree that preserving people's ability to function and work should be a fundamental purpose of healthcare services, and successfully doing so should be seen as a valuable healthcare outcome, second only to preserving life, limb, and essential bodily functions. The reality is that today these things are not even counted as health outcomes. And there are gaps in our social fabric that are actually creating job loss and work disability. Here's one big example of a gap. None of the 3 professionals typically responding to workers who are dealing with job disruption due to injury or illness feel like they're responsible for avoiding job loss. That includes healthcare professionals, employers, and benefits administrators. Occasionally, some of them actually advise against work, not realizing the consequences, of course. We need better public policy, stronger governmental efforts, and more support from the private sector in order to prevent this needless work disability. Do you realize that roughly half of the people now receiving Social Security, disability, and other prolonged disability benefits started out with very common health problems like back pain, depression, and anxiety? And do you realize that most people who develop those same conditions don't even take any time off work or are able to return after just a short absence? But this particular subgroup has had unexpectedly poor outcomes, including job loss. You might ask, why is that? Why does this group have such poor outcomes of conditions that normally don't cause much work disability at all? It's logical to assume that these people had the most severe cases of back pain or depression and so on, but in most cases, there's actually no objective data to support that idea. For every person now on long-term disability, there are others who started out with the exact same condition but are still working. From the strictly medical point of view, they looked identical at the beginning. What is different is the way the illness episode unfolded in these 2 groups. What happened, how others talked to them and treated them, the decisions they made about the best way to manage this life challenge, the effectiveness of the medical treatment they received, the other kinds of support they got, and the opportunities that were or weren't available. My personal hope is that more employed people who are dealing with new injuries or illnesses are going to get what they need to avoid needless impairment, work absence, job loss, withdrawal from the workforce, and long-term reliance on disability benefits, which really means a life of poverty. That will be good for them, for the taxpayers, and for our society as a whole. Now that these issues are in the spotlight, it is time for policymakers, employers, healthcare providers, health and disability insurers, and other service providers and affected individuals to start talking together about solutions, and then to do their part to make those things happen.